Good morning and welcome to Out Cornered. And this morning is a very special morning for me because this is finally going to install my new engine. So I bought the engine. So we got the engine. We towed the car as well yesterday night.
Tippa upp det för fan! Tippa den! Tippa den?
Nej, men du måste snurra vidare.
Jag snurrar skiten då. Yes.
Round number 2, I guess. It was a little bit of a challenge, but we finally made it. It's no problem, it's actually quite easy. And yeah, now it's just installing the engine. Stupid fuck. Disconnected the plastic under shields of the car, removing the exhaust from the headers. A ton of oil in the exhaust, by the way. It was quite sad. Disconnected all the cables, as you can see, for the AC, gearbox and power steering fluid. Also for the coolant. Removing the fan and removing the AC condenser, which was not that hard. It's only a couple of screws, so you're leaving a ton of room in the front to work on. And the way we dropped it is actually dropped the engine was on the subframe, which only holds on by 6 screws, the subframe. Leaving the brakes and suspension on the car. Of course, one thing you have to be real careful is you also disconnecting the leveling sensor so you don't damage that. This is how the engine looks when it's outside the car. As you can see, we only removed a couple of screws for the bushings and the beer arms on the front of the car. It's actually really simple, and letting the air suspension and the brakes hanging on by just a wire, and leaving us a ton of room to work on the engine. And I think that was the simplest way of removing the engine, and you don't have to pay a lot of the work trying to disconnect the brake lines and so on and so forth. It was actually very simple.
Ah, Coach. So that's what keeps you on your toes.
Could be.
Låt det stå där det står. fan måste ju dokumenteras så att säga.
Det är ju dokumenterat väl det här. Ska visa det förra ägaren. Kolla vad du gjort jävla fitta!
Nu är det så det.
Move back in.
Just installing the hoses. It has been modified to split coolers.
As you can see. Let's go to your front.
Well, so far so good. We removed the old engine. We got the valve gasket on the new engine, putting the spark plugs on the new engine, and putting the old supercharger back on because it had 82mm throttle body. The only problem we had is that our gearbox lift was broken, so I had to improvise to remove the gearbox. But once we figured out how to do it, we hanged it basically on the left and removed it that way. To remove the gearbox from the engine is actually not that hard. There are a couple of screws that's holding the gearbox all around, and then underneath the gearbox there is a hole. You can disconnect a couple of screws. I think there are 9 screws in total inside the gearbox holding into the torque converter, and then basically it just plops out. So also actually surprisingly easy. At this point we probably have been working on the car for 15 hours, but that's including removing all the old parts, you know, the power steering pump and so on and so forth from the old engine. So far so good.
Progress. Special mount. Gearbox is on. The old piece of shit engine. We got the subframe. And I love this design, how we remove from here. It actually makes it more simple. So yeah. Looking good, looking good. Merci!
20 plus hours in, we got the subframe mounted on the car. Everything has went to plan the entire way, but the only mishap we had was this. Luckily enough, it looked more dramatical than it really was. There was actually such a small miss, but nothing happened to the subframe, nothing happened to the engine whatsoever. There wasn't even a scratch on the subframe, which is quite impressive. I think the E-pallet broke, so it dampens the fall. So, except that, everything went really, really good this night.
Old engine is officially out. Started at 7 in the morning. It's 2 o'clock right now. And everything is on. M5 E34 as well outside. So yeah, that's that for day 1 of the engine rebuild, and tomorrow is going to be installing the engine, hopefully without any problems. So yeah, that's in the next video.